Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very butched episode of Player Ratings. Yesterday, Bradford City drew 1-1 with Colchester United. As you can see, Korban is on his deathbed. I've got my trim out, and we don't have long to do this Player Ratings, as we all want to watch I'm a Celebrity at 9 o'clock. Now, whether you do or not doesn't really affect our life, to be honest. You can watch this twice over if you really want, but we've not got as long as normal to go through our Player Ratings. I've had a very busy day, hence why we're starting a little bit later. So we've got around half an hour to go through, I think, 15 players who played yesterday, so 2 minutes per player, but then we've got the intro and the outro, so not very long. We'll get straight into it. We'll start out firstly with Sam Walker. I do just want to quickly double check that I have got the right chap. There we go. Hello, Jack. Welcome in. Sam Walker, he gets a 2 out of 10 from me. I'm at the point now where I'm so frustrated with Sam Walker, and a few people I think quite a lot of people actually have been saying a very similar sort of thing on Twitter. I certainly saw that yesterday, criticising Sam Walker and looking at the amount of points that he has cost us. And I think, some people have put on his defence a little bit about how their player heads it off of his head, obviously, and then onto his foot, and it kind of deceives Sam Walker and goes into the back of the net. But I think all he has to do is stand up. Did he really need to give the corner away in the first place? I don't think it was really troubling him too much. For a keeper of his size, that should be a pretty comfortable catch, I would have thought, for a professional goalkeeper. There wasn't loads of pressure on him. And then, obviously, when the ball comes into the box, I think that first things first is that we need to be marking a lot better. He's got a free run from the edge of the box straight to the back post. Not a single player's picked him up. It's shocking organisation, terrible concentration, but Sam Walker should still save it for me. He didn't really do much else in the game. No real saves that I thought, wow, that weren't really good. I don't think they really had many shots on target, to be honest, especially not many that really troubled Sam Walker, but certainly cause for concern now with our number one. And I think when you look at the history now with our last two goalkeepers since Colin Doyle's come in as a goalkeeping coach, first season looked very good. Second season, there has been a massive decline, and I don't think that is a little bit of a coincidence. So certainly something that we probably could discuss at length in a future video, but today I don't think we've not really got the time to do so. So I'll give Sam Walker a 2 out of 10 and say that he definitely needs to improve before January, or we could see some business in that position.
I've woke up. I've been asleep for the last 2 days, it feels like, but what I mean is, in terms of the Sam Walker criticism, I've woke up from it. He's been shocking all season. When you look at the mistakes, you keep thinking, when's he going to turn it around? And every game he seems to be getting worse. The amount of blunders he's made, absolutely atrocious. And yesterday was just the epitome. We're a minute away from getting the 3 points. A game where that's the type of game, if you win, you're going to be in and around the top 3 areas because you don't play well, but you just grind out a win by just being a bit gritty and by being focused. But if you don't win that game, then you're not going to go anywhere near, because it means you haven't got the mentality to get over the line in those sort of tricky games where you haven't played well. And that's because certain players switch off, and we've had quite a few players switch off in key moments this season. And Sam Walker, Carl Walker, good job he ain't in goal. Although he would be a better goalkeeper, because he did go in goal for Man City, didn't he, once, and didn't concede. He's been terrible. This season has been as useful as an inflatable dartboard. If you understand that one.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. Absolutely terrible. He gets nothing from me because he did nothing. He made one save, from what I can remember, which was straight at him. And you'd expect to save. I mean, if he don't save that and he's shooting, just atrocious. And like I say, for the corner, he should have caught it anyway. I don't know why he ain't catching that. Just really gone down in his levels, and it's a shame to see for a second season, like you said.
You look at last season, and I don't think he made a single mistake in any of that. And then you come to this season, he was brilliant away at MK Dons, and then since then it's just been worse and worse. I think he's saved one penalty out of about 30 or 40 that he's faced now throughout his time at Bradford City. That's a big concern. And obviously, a goalkeeper in League Two is not going to be perfect at everything, but I don't really think he's good at much, to be honest. Like, he's very, very average for League Two level, and you don't get promoted with a very average goalkeeper. Harry Lewis, in the season where we got to the playoffs, had some absolute blinders and probably won us about 20 points in that season, and we still only made the playoffs. You need a lot more than just a bang average goalkeeper, and I think he is for the level. You look at the teams that are going to be competing around us this season. How many teams would Sam Walker get into? Not many of them, if any. I think he struggles to get into any of the other top half teams if you look at the other goalkeepers. So certainly cause for concern for me. He's really on the decline so far this season. I'll say hello to Super Bantam, and Jack Thornton says, I know it's off the topic of the stream, but the goal which we scored yesterday, but the line gave offside, wasn't actually off, so he got robbed yesterday fuming. I saw the penalty decision, and that was an absolute scandalous decision. Not as bad, though, as the Notts County Crew game. I mean, I think it was Shiloh Tracy, literally fell over, and he got given as a penalty and a foul apparently on Matty Platt. Diane, welcome to the stream. Hope you well, mate. I'm doing okay. Corbin's not very well, to be honest. But yeah, welcome in. How are we? We'll move on to Brad Halliday next. Poor again, really poor yesterday, Brad Halliday. He gets a 4 out of 10 for me. The amount of times where he just gets completely done for pace. It happened on 2 or 3 separate occasions, and I don't know what's going on with him. I think right centre half was the right idea to try and get Brad Halliday back into this team, but he's just really, he's so slow. I think it was Tavide in the second half was in a 1v1 with Halliday, who had about a yard or 2 on him, and he still lost. He was a good save from Sam Walker. The shot was right at him, one you definitely expect him to make, but Halliday just getting done for pace, and it happened a few times. I think he struggled up against Aurora Edwards as well. Later on in the match, he was constantly getting crosses into the box, and I wouldn't even say he's lost a yard of pace. I'd say he's lost 5 yards of pace. He looks so slow. Like, Ash Taylor would put off some of these opposition strikers better than Brad Halliday. I don't know what's happened to him, if he's picked up some sort of injury, or I don't know what's gone on. It's something different in the training, but he looks a shadow of his former self, and he's really struggling in terms of that pace. So he gets a 4 out of 10 from me.
Do you think a 4's I think a 4's very generous myself.
Well, the problem is, like, if we come away from that game without that lapse of concentration towards the end, we say it's 1-0, we got the job done, and Brad Halliday probably gets a 5 rather than a 4. So I don't want to be too critical, because nothing that he did was...
Well, in the game?
Well, there were times where he put a tackle in to go out for a throw. You know, he wasn't useless.
Well
but you get a little bit of credit for that.
No,
well, Andy Cook's job is to score goals. So because he scored a goal, what does he get? A 5 out of 10?
No, he gets a 7 because he did his job.
Right. Okay,
all these jobs to mark on the back post.
And but that wasn't his man. No, that wasn't his man.
Well, why didn't he communicate them?
He was marking with Ian Dolo. He marking him, and then this little midget has just come waltzing through our defence like a burglar. But he stood there. He stood there with a balaclava on, and we've still not seen him. And he's snuck in at the back post, and he's nodded it in.
Right, and whose fault is it that we haven't seen him?
Everyone's organisation, the leaders, every single person, all 11 players, all the staff. I mean, that's Colin Doyle's, that's part of his main job, is set piece and stuff. The amount of times that the cameraman was zooming in on our set pieces, why were no one marking him? I know they've got 11 players that have come forward, even the keeper's up, but they've got one take in the corner, so we have a numerical advantage in the box. I think Corey Evans was at the front post, he was marking nobody. Why did no one just say, right, you go there? And it's a great ball into the box. You know, it's not probably one that they've worked on the training ground. On another day, that goes over everybody, and he's out for a Bradford goal kick. But I don't think that was necessarily Halliday's fault.
I'm not buying that. If he's on the back post and someone's running behind him and he hadn't heard him, he hadn't seen him, he hadn't bothered to look, that's his fault. That's on him. Walker shouldn't be falling over his own 2 toes anyway. But Halliday, for not tracking or hearing him running behind him, is absolutely shocking. And then apart from that, I can't name you anything he did in the game apart from get caught in behind for pace. He's just getting worse. His passing's off. He slows down our attacks. He runs forward with the ball, stops on the ball, kills the attack. Everyone gets back for them. Then he passes a hospital ball to J Ben. The ball doesn't come into a box. It comes back to Halliday. Then he goes back to Sam Walker because he didn't put a cross in the first place. That's just going forward. Defensively shocking. He would vote for the goal. His lack of concentration cost us a game. I can't say anything he did well, so he's getting nothing.
So back-to-back 0 out of 10s.
Back-to-back. I'm disgusted.
Aaron, welcome in. How are we doing? I think maybe Sam Walker's poppadom wrists might have grazed Corbin in the eye potentially. Super Bantam says, Alexander, blame their keeper coming up, a poor excuse. I'm getting really frustrated with Graham Alexander. I said in the last player ratings that it had to be minimum 6 points from Colchester and Accrington. The max we're going to get from it is 3. We'll probably end up drawing next week as well. We're on a really bad run of form, and the pressure is starting to build on Graham Alexander. You know, we can't make no questions of it. We all know there's much bigger issues at Bradford City than Graham Alexander, and I'm not at this moment in time saying Alexander out, but the pressure is certainly going to start to build if we carry on playing as poorly as what we did. We'll move on to Neil Byrne next then. He gets slightly better than Brad Halliday. I'm going to go 4.5 out of 10 for Neil Byrne. There were a few times in the first half where I thought he really struggled. His first touch was off a little bit, lost possession a few times, and I think when Tavide came on in the second half, I think he struggled a little bit physically up against him. There wasn't really much that I would say Neil Byrne did massively wrong. You know, when they were coming forward, it wasn't like he were caught out of position like we've seen him do a few times so far this season. There was certainly a lot worse performance than Neil Byrne, but in possession, and his first touch nearly did cost us a couple of times in that first half. So I'm going to mark him down slightly for that and give him a 4.5 out of 10.
I'll give him a 5. It was below average performance from Neil. Did a few things good. And like I say, did get caught a couple of times. He did take an heavy touch that nearly caught him out, but then he recovered with a tackle. But yeah, he certainly wasn't a bad performer.
Dylan says, lads, the stewards at Colchester are terrible. Nearly got arrested for sticking a sticker in the away end. Oh dear. You get arrested for... I didn't even know stewards could arrest you, to be honest with you, but doesn't really surprise me. I saw we set a pyro off for going away at Colchester. I didn't think the pyro lot travelled as far as Colchester. We'll move on to Jack Shepherd next then. I'm going to go 5.5 out of 10. It was a very average performance. I think he passed the ball straight to a Colchester player once, and I'm going to mark him down slightly for that. There's not really much to say. I don't blame him for the goal we conceded. He wasn't really that influential defensively or offensively. I think we got caught out down that side. On a couple of occasions, Anderson looked at a little bit of a threat for Collier, but apart from that, not really a lot to say on Shepherd, so I'll give him a 5.5 out of 10.
I'm giving him a 4 because I thought he just lacked a bit of match sharpness again. When he comes back into a team, you see him just looking a bit jaded, a bit lacking of pace. Maybe a bit of confidence comes into that as well when he comes back into a team. So I have no doubt for against Accrington he'll get back to how he was. It might have took him a bit of a while to get going again.
We'll move on to Richie Smallwood next, and I thought it was probably his best performance in a fair few weeks, where I think he has been quite poor. Yesterday, I thought he had a pretty solid game. I'd give him a 7 out of 10. I think especially in that second half, him and another one of the midfielders were really important in breaking up the play, winning tackles. There is obviously a big talking point about Smallwood, how he's not been sent off for that challenge. I'll never know. He wasn't even given a foul, which I think is criminal. Maybe that's why the referee was very generous with the added time. I know we were time wasting a bit, but that's part and parcel of the game. Every team does that to us, and we got 2 minutes away at Fleetwood last week, and then it's 10 in this one against Colchester. It's so disappointing, but the tackle from Smallwood was reckless. How it's not given us a penalty, I'll never know. It's a 2-footed lunge inside your own penalty area. It's very risky. We've got away with one there massively. You know, the referee's not a million miles away. I'm not too sure how he hasn't given that, because Lyle Taylor jumps over it to avoid the contact, but if he stays there, he's probably going to break a leg. So I think that personally should have been a penalty, and you've certainly seen worse given for red cards. I remember Charlie White, you know, he got a red card for Bradford City for doing a very similar sort of tackle in the middle of the pitch. I'd think if that is in the middle of the pitch, he probably does get sent off. So it goes to show referees pick and choose when they want to see bad tackles and that sort of stuff. But I thought, especially in the second half, he was quite important in, obviously, to a certain point, in helping us see the game out. He was winning the tackles, winning the duels, and I think he certainly looked a bit more comfortable in there when Corey Evans came on, who I thought had quite a good impact. But overall, I'll give Smallwood a 7. I don't want to give him too high because that tackle was definitely concerning. Is that the right word? I don't know. My mind just went blank. But it was a bad tackle, let's say the least.
Tell you what is concerning: the fact that you've given a player a 7 for admitting that he should have given a penalty away, which would have cost us 3 points.
Yeah, but it's all if buts and maybes, isn't it, in football? You can't rate a player on something that technically hasn't happened.
Well, no, but you're saying it should have happened. So he was in the wrong. He made a mistake that could have cost us a game.
But it didn't.
No, but you're saying it should have.
But
so how can you then?
didn't.
No, but you're saying that it should have. So how are you saying that he had a solid game when he nearly cost us a game?
Well, I've only given him a 7. I've said, you know, he had a good game. In the whole 90 minutes, he was good.
Yeah, but that split moment could have cost us, like Sam Walker's split moment of idioticness.
And that did cost us, so he gets marked down.
Yeah, but Smallwood would have cost us if that.
But it didn't.
Referee won a No, but it should have, because that was a terrible foul. It's stupidity at the highest level again from us. Cook did it last week. Walker were doing it all last week. Diabate does it every time he plays, loses concentration, does stupid things. Walker's been doing it all season. Aldi's loses his concentration. Smallwood has a bit of pettiness. He did it against Crewe away. When are we going to stop? Stop making stupid fouls in the penalty box and just outside of it. We'll never learn. But I don't know how you can give a player a 7 when you're saying he should have cost us a game, because he was in the right position. Colchester played some terrible passes, and he just happened to be where the pass went.
So good positioning.
Well, no, because anyone could. I could have intercepted those because they were just straight to his feet. There was no Colchester player anywhere near him. You know, it was like a bad smell. No Colchester player wanted to be around Richie Smallwood.
Do you reckon he smells
The
nice?
performance
I reckon.
stunk.
No, he had a new haircut. I reckon he smells nice. Bit of spray on the
3.
trim. Excuse me? 3.
3 out of 10.
No, he was
3.
much better than Neil Byrne and Jack Shepherd.
I don't care about that. It were 3. Positionally good because Colchester couldn't pass a parcel and should have given away a penalty that would have cost us 3 points. Not good enough. He's the captain.
I thought Colchester played some nice football at times. You could
No,
certainly
they were
you can certainly see why they were down there, but they played much better football than what we played. Every time we got it, we hoofed it. Did our midfield even touch the ball the entire match? They were just might as well stood like this because it was going over the red, over that way, back over that way. Our midfield were pointless. We don't play football. We just hoof it.
I disagree. I thought we were much better than them. I thought they were shocking. Honestly. Like I
If
said,
either side deserve to win, they deserve to win.
no.
They battered us.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did. They just weren't clinical.
How
And that's what I'm saying.
What clear-cut chances did they have apart from 2 terrible bits of play at the end?
All right, just before Smallwood cleaned him out, Jack Payne literally had an open goal and he just took a bad touch. That should have been a goal.
Can't remember that, so can't say.
Andrew, welcome from Canada. Wow, very far. J Ben is next. I'll give him a 5. 2 poor performances from him. Huh?
Not doing it. Not doing question of the week.
We ain't got time for question of the week.
We have.
Go on then.
Right, question of the week is because I've been thinking about it earlier because I'm having a eggy bread and sausage because I can only eat bread at the minute, and I had sausage sandwich yesterday, so I thought I'll have a bit of sausage for me eggy bread. It was quite nice, but I had a bit of stomachache afterwards, but which isn't really going down. But the question of the week is, what is your favourite pig? Do you like bacon from the pig? Do you like pork from the pig? Do you like sausage from the pig? And is there any other stuff that you can get from a pig that you like? Ham's from a pig. What's your favourite bit from a pig? Pigs in blanket and black pudding, which is atrocious.
Right, anyone who comments black pudding, you'll be blocked. Do not comment black pudding. That is disgusting. Right, let's move on to J Ben.
What are sausage patties?
What the hell is a patty? I thought that were like a bit outside of your house. Oh, that's a patio.
You Wally.
Just imagine part of your house made out of sausage.
Patio. Oh, get back talking to J Ben where you belong. You don't deserve to be talking about pigs.
J Ben. He was poor again. He was poor last week, poor again in this one. Not really much to say about him, in all honesty. Can't really remember much they did right. A few pretty poor crosses. Defensively, I don't really think he did much. Did he get booked? We got so many cheek bookings. Oh my God, when are we going to learn from that? We've got 3 or 4 players now who are on 4 yellow cards. Andy Cook being one of them. He got a booking for pushing someone. Just bad discipline. Has Andy Cook this season, out of his 4 league yellow cards, any of them been for anything other than dissent? Because I'm pretty sure all of them are either for swearing at an official or pushing somebody.
How do you know he swore?
Well, if he's getting a booking for dissent, and he's not going to say, referee, you are really good, yellow card.
Well, we all saw what David Coote's been doing. I won't trust these referees.
That's a very good shout, Super Bantam. He did make a really good block in the second half, didn't he? Neil Byrne kind of got caught out of position a little bit. The ball room behind. Yeah, J Ben did do a good block. Right, I'll up his rating then. Hold on. I'll up it from a 5 to a 6 because that stopped a certain goal. J Ben, you get a 6 out of 10, but get back to your best, please, because we know he's a good player, but last couple of weeks he's not really shown it. And I think his fitness is a concern as well. By the 70th minute, he always seems to have blown his load.
Yeah, but he might have flu. I can really sympathise. You know, it drains the life out of you. I was bedbound yesterday. Woke up at 3 o'clock with a nosebleed, blood all over. You won't believe me now. I look as fit as Margot Robbie right now because I literally have blood all over me. It's not a good sight at all. But J Ben did put in a good block. I remember that. His energy levels is concerning. But yeah, I don't have anything to say, so I'm giving him a 5. I didn't really notice him too much.
That's good because we've only got 10 minutes left. We'll move on to Jamie Walker next. 8 out of 10 and man of the match for me. Certainly his best performance in about 6 weeks or so. I thought he had a really, really good game, especially second half. The amount of really, really good tackles he was putting in, winning the ball back. He did it on
Sorry about
5 or 6 separate occasions. And going forward, I thought in the second half was decent. First half as well, won a few of them cheap free kicks where he kind of just falls over and kind of relieves the pressure a little bit. And I think from what I saw of him, it was certainly the best that he's played in a while. It was nice to finally notice him actually doing something in a Bradford City shirt, which we haven't seen him do for about 6 weeks or so. So yeah, nice to see him back to his best. And I'll give him man of the match pretty comfortably with an 8 out of 10.
that. An 8.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
What did he do for an 8?
Did you not see the amount of brilliant challenges he was putting in the second half? Discipline defensively. When everybody else has been a moronic moron, his discipline was very good.
As an attacking midfielder, your job is to be a midfielder that attacks.
How can he attack from midfield when he never gets the ball to feet? It's always up here. The ball is always above his head. So what can he do?
Well, it's not always above his head, is it?
No, it is. We never play football. Every time Halliday got it, smashed it forward. Every time Shepherd got it, smashed it forward. Anytime anyone got it, big oof up the pitch. Andy Cook would win the flick on. Sanderson would be too slow to react to it, and they'd get the ball back.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's an exaggeration.
Am I being stupid here, chat? Or did we just boom the ball yesterday? Exactly. I mean, we had one shot on target, for goodness sake.
Yeah, and whose job is it to create chances?
Not the players who are not touching the football.
Well, touch the ball. Get involved. Come deeper. Ask
what
for
do
the
you
ball.
want them to do? Get in a helicopter, fly up, and pick the ball up, and cross it in.
Communication. Did they not communicate? These players not have a voice box.
We saw from the goal we conceded, clearly they don't communicate.
Well, that's what I was telling you. But you weren't having that either. But now you've woke up to it. Halliday should have been communicating on the back post. Thank you very much. Good night.
So not
Walker gets a 5.
But what about all the good tackles that he did? You got to give him some credit for that.
Right, well, I can get a 6 then because he actually put a decent shift in defensively of what I would expect from a Bradford City player.
Yeah, but if we're just going off of that, then... Well, I mean, I'd like to see the player ratings from the 18-19. See, everyone's agreeing with me. Tian says, yeah, hoofball. Aaron says hoofball. Super Bantam says hoofball. John Booth says big hoof up the pitch, the manager's tactics. See? Head loss, that's what you've got there.
Well, I don't care.
Right, we'll move on to Bobby Poynton next then. I've gone with a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think he was bad in the game. You know, he worked hard. He was kind of influential in the goal that we score. I don't think he'll get an assist for it, but I think, you know, he's certainly played a lot worse so far this season. He tried really hard in that midfield. He just didn't quite have that half a yard of pace that we sometimes need from him. He got in behind a few times down the left side, but his kind of quality of crossing into the box was really poor, and that did disappoint me a little bit, in all honesty. So there's certainly more room for improvement. I'll be surprised if Clarkador doesn't start the next game. I don't think Poynton was particularly great in this one, to be honest with you. He certainly wasn't bad. There was certainly a lot worse performance than him, so I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10.
I thought Poynton were very effective, considering you're talking about ball being up in the air. He were controlling the game. He were dropping in deeper, something Walker wasn't doing. He were getting on the ball, turning on the ball, winning free kicks. I think we're really seeing a Bobby Poynton now that's dictating the game and making it his game. He's really showing a level above. And all he needs to start doing is getting those goals and assists to go along with that. And I think the more games he plays, the better he'll get at that, because the confidence will just be rising from him now. I didn't really agree with bringing him off. I thought he was having a good game. So yeah, he gets 7 from me. I thought he was much better defensively as well. He got tighter, put a few good tackles in, considering how weak he looks defensively. So yeah, I was really impressed with Poynton.
Yeah, he certainly played a lot worse for Bradford City, and that was his 50th appearance as well. So big congratulations to him. I'm sure there's Many more to come in a Bradford City shirt. Lewis Richards, I don't think we've got much to add about, and there's only having 5 minutes left. We won't spend too much time on him. I give him a 5 out of 10. Didn't really do much offensively, defensively. Gave everyone a bit of a laugh with one of the worst throwing attempts you will ever see, where he just falls over. And I think that kind of sums up Lewis Richards. Goes off with what looks to be a dislocated shoulder. Now we've got no one to play left wing back. Are we going to put Shepherd there? Are we going to put Clark-Adore there? Who knows? But probably won't be back anytime soon, which is a shame because I think Lewis Richards, in terms of his muscular injuries, I don't think he's had one so far this season. I don't know if a dislocated shoulder really counts as that. I wouldn't have thought so. But in terms of his actual performance, there's not really much that I can add on. So I'll just give him an average 5 out of 10.
5. I'd play Odwalla.
Andy Cook up next then. I'll give him a 7 out of 10. Obviously, nice to see him get on a score sheet again. Still the league's top goal scorer. 9 league goals now, 11 or 12 in our competitions. Probably approaching 15 if you include friendlies as well. And the frustrating thing for me with Cook is...
Friendlies. He's not Pele, is he?
I'm just saying if you do include friendlies, you know what I mean? We'll start including training goals and it'll be closing in on 100.
We're not including friendlies. League games only. We don't include the Tyler Smith competition either. Just league.
What about the Carabao Cup? He scored against Grimsby and that.
All right.
Back onto my point. He scores a goal, brilliant finish. You know, strike is instinctive, gets half a yard in the box and drills it into the back. And a great moment for him again to celebrate in front of Bradford City's supporters. And then it's after that, what does he kind of really do in the game? Wasn't really pressuring. He did after about half an hour start sitting in a bit deeper on Arthur Reed, but I think the link-up play wasn't really there with Sanderson at times. Wasn't really getting much support from the wing-backs or from the creative midfielders. He just didn't really kind of link the play up very well, which I know he can do. He won quite a lot in the air, to be honest with you, but then his flick-ons weren't really going towards Sanderson. I don't know who you'd really blame for that. You're probably a bit of both, really. But I'll give him a 7 out of 10 because, you know, he's kind of the only player who seems to score for Bradford City.
8. Got his goal. And another game where you go, Andy Cook nearly carried us to a win because he knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. He doesn't have to do anything else. Just put the ball in the back of the net and everyone's happy. But unfortunately, idiotic defending and switching off cost us and him from getting the 3 points that he deserved.
Is Korbans' hair like yours and just covered up? I don't know. I mean, it is looking quite similar, isn't it, at the moment? Korbans looking... Yeah, I won't be doing that because mine will come back deeper than my earphones. We'll move on to the final play in the starting 11 then as we approach the end of today's stream. Make sure to drop a like on there for us and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, 50 likes as always will be massively appreciated. Ollie Sanderson, maybe slightly unpopular. I'm going to give him an average 6 out of 10. I don't think he did anything bad in the game. You know, he worked really hard. He was trying to link the play off. I thought he dropped in a little bit deep at times and worked well with doing that. But like we mentioned with Cook there, the link up between them both wasn't really there. Cook would be flicking it on and Sanderson would run the other way, or Sanderson had come short and the ball going behind. It just wasn't quite there. You could see, obviously, he's not played for nearly 2 months now, really. You know, his last start against Harrogate. And nice to see him back in the team. Obviously, Callum Kavanagh dropped out of the squad really late on with probably another injury. And then you look at Smith and Oliver, you know, neither of them two are really good enough to really compete with Andy Cook. So Sanderson, I'll give an average 6 out of 10. So and I probably would keep him in the team for the next couple of matches just because I think he's the best of the bunch of strikers that we've got to start alongside Cookie.
3. Didn't do anything at all. Didn't hold the ball up. Didn't link up. Wasn't making any good runs in behind. It looked weak. It was a performance where I saw why he was dropped against Harrogate. A bit of an overreaction to why he was dropped because he wasn't doing much anyway. I think Kavanagh, in my opinion, I like Kavanagh. I think he offers a bit more off the ball than Sanderson. And helps us better as a team. Links up better with Cook as well. I don't think Sanderson links up well with Cook. So yeah, gets 3.
You'll have to let us know your thoughts then in the comments. Who would you start alongside Cook next week? Would it be Sanderson or would it be Kavanagh? Or would you disagree with both of us? And would you start Tyler Smith? Anyone who says Viden Oliver will personally get a punch in the face. John Booth says, yes, bad concentration at the end, but the manager's tactics have put us on the back foot. That is something we will come to at the end of the stream. We're going to get through these subs very quickly as like I mentioned a few times, we do want to watch I'm a Celebrity. So Clark-Adore, he was the first sub, came on after about an hour for Bobby Poynton. I gave him a 6.5 out of 10. I thought tried to control the game, but because of how defensive we were playing, he was getting the ball in positions where he was having to take on 3 or 4 different players at a time. And we didn't really have that kind of support around him for him to link up the ball. There's only so much that he can do. I think he won a free kick or a corner, something like that. But there's not really much that he can do playing as an attacking midfielder when he's not really got much support around him. So that was a little bit concerning for me. He kind of came on to be a bit more creative in there, but with how deeper and deeper we're getting, that's not really his game. So I give him a 6.5 out of 10.
No, got no.
0?
I've just got notes to say. I don't even know you're on about, to be fair, but I just move on.
Right. Gorge Gill says Pointing needs to go up front and next to Andy Cook, and Super Bantam says he would stick with Sanderson. Corey Evans came on. When did Corey Evans come on? Who did he even come on for? I don't know. Corey Evans came onto the pitch at some point. I think that was when we had a change in formation. I think he came on for Ollie Sanderson, actually, around 75th minute mark at a rough guess. And I thought Evans was really good. I give him a 7.5 out of 10. I thought he intercepted quite a lot, won a few tackles in there. Just defensively really good. It organises very well in that midfield. And I mentioned it on the stream yesterday. I would expect Corey Evans to get a longer term contract by the time January does come around. And obviously it's set to expire. I don't think Huntington will get a new deal. He'll probably get a start on Tuesday, which will be good to see what he's actually all about. But Corey Evans, I definitely do believe will get a longer term contract because he looks like a really good signing when he does play. He was brilliant against Aldershot, and anytime he comes on off the bench, I think he helps us normally see the game out. You wouldn't say the goal we concede is anything that he could do, so I give him a 7.5 out of 10.
Move on.
Nothing to say about Corey Evans?
No.
Chet Diabate, not really much to say about him. I'll give him an average 6. I can't even remember him touching the ball. You got anything else to say about him?
Absolutely nothing to add about that man.
And Verden Oliver, I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. He won a few headers, pressed really well. I know he was only on for a couple of minutes, and that was all that he kind of really wanted to do. The Rotherham game is at home on Tuesday. So, yeah, I'll give him a little bit of credit for that one. So I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Was literally on the pitch for about, 10 minutes or so. So I can't really go into too much detail about him.
Move on.
And the final one then is Graham Alexander. What do we give Graham Alexander? I think the starting 11 was good. I like the changes that he made, bringing Shepherd and Sanderson back in. Obviously got the goal. We didn't concede inside the first 15, 20 minutes, which has been a big Achilles heel for us away from home. But it's the lack of creativity. I know Colchester's been a ground that we've struggled at, and I don't think they were a great side, but they looked to be the team who were chasing the playoffs, and we looked to be the team near the relegation zone. It was a little bit of a concern for me. It's happened a couple of times now, and it's been quite the same under a lot of our previous managers, where we go 1-0 up and then we're kind of happy and we try to sit on that, but we're just not good enough defensively. Our goalkeeper's not good enough. Our defence isn't good enough to try and defend your way through. You're not going to win 1-0. We're not as good as Port Vale. They've won so many games 1-0, and we just don't have that killer instinct to be able to see games out. Somebody always switches off. Somebody always loses concentration or makes a mistake, and Alexander needs to realise that we need to be going to win games 2 or 3-0. I'm not trying to sit on a 1-goal lead because we're simply not good enough defensively. We're far too fragile.
But that's not his fault.
It's not Alexander's fault that we're weak defensively, but he wants us to try and defend.
It's not his fault.
But the subs we were making were defensive. He brought Corey Evans on for Ollie Sanderson. That's a very defensive change.
Is it?
Bringing a holding midfielder on for a striker, how can you not consider that a defensive change?
I don't think it's necessarily defensive. I think it's just a bit more, it just gives a bit more stability to the team. Like, you can play, yeah, we were sitting deep and he probably was happy to see it out. But I don't think you're anticipating 10 more minutes. I think the players have to pull themselves together more. They need to take more accountability. They're easy to just shift the blame onto Alexander and the manager, whoever the managers are, because we've seen it countless times. They need to take accountability. If they're switching off on the back post, it's happened far too often. I've already talked about it. If they're switching off constantly, whenever the moment's signed a game, it's on you, it ain't on the manager. Get on with the game. They're costing us far too many times, and that'll be the reason we don't get where we want to be this season and where Alexander sees us this season. We won't get a straighter manager if we wanted one mentally. I think he's great for us. I think he's. You look at his win rate. You look at the impact he's had on the club since he's come in. We know we're going to get streaks under him. He's Streak Alexander, and I believe that we'll beat Accrington and we'll turn it around. But even if we don't, what do you do? Oh, right. Well, we sack Alexander. We'll bring in. I don't even know who he's about. Pete Wild. Right. We'll bring in Pete Wild. He'll have a good start. We'll finish us out the side of the playoffs. So build a whole new team again. We'll build from the scratch. And then where are we then? Mid-table in League Two this time next year. Pete Wild gets sacked. And it's just a revolving door managers. And we're not going to go anywhere with it. Just stick with him. If it don't work out, it don't work out. But we need to be more switched on now. The problem don't like the manager's door, especially when you've got idiots switching off on the back post costing us 3 points.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with what you've said there, but I'm a Celebrity is set to start. So get your final thoughts in the chat or in the comment section. John Booth says, are we worried at the number of chances we are making? Yes, and obviously no one really looks like scoring apart from Andy Cook. Super Bantam says he hates Alexander's football. He thinks that was a good performance. We had one attempt on target, tired of his excuses. Again, wouldn't disagree with that. I think recently he has started to frustrate me a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm a Celebrity has literally just started. 5 points off second. It's not all bad. 5 points is a lot to make up, though, when teams like Walsall and Doncaster are consistently winning or picking up the odd point here or there, and we're throwing them away at Colchester. 5 points is a lot of ground to make up.
It's really not. Look at last season. Doncaster. The year before, Bristol Rovers, the run they went on. Blackpool went on a run. We went on a run a few years ago. It's not a lot of points. It's a tight league. It's all going to the internet. I'll just keep talking because it might be fresh. Basically, all you need is a couple of wins and you're in the top 3. Don't panic, and we'll see where we are. But you can make up points very easily in the AFL.
But it's not 2 wins, is it? It's 2 wins, and then the other teams have to lose 2 games. It's very easy to win 2 football matches, but you've got to win 2 more when the other teams are losing matches, and that's very hard to do. You've got to build that consistency, and we've seen we're not a consistent side under Graham Alexander. We're constantly going on 3, 4, 5, 6 game winning runs, then we'll go on a 3, 4, 5, 6 game losing run or a drawing run, and we pick up bad points. And December's a very tough month for us. Wherever we are at the end of December, that'll probably be where we finish at the end of the season, because I think every game we've got in December is a very hard game. We are going to leave it there, though, for today's live stream. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the shorter player ratings, let us know. Korban, any final thoughts?
It's a brilliant one for us.
Any final thoughts on yesterday's game?
Well, I'll be quick, but December's a brilliant month for us because whilst the big teams and the teams that are up there, that's a better time than ever to pile the points on and to beat those teams. You climb points ahead of them. They're big games, and I'm sure the players will be up for it, but they've got to make sure they're up for it. And that's where we'll see the real grit of the team. Let's see where we are at Christmas. But I'm excited for those games because they need to show up. We'll see what this team's all about now. It's a rubbish lineup. That there were a load of nobodies. But if I were to want someone to win, probably would be Tyrone off Coronation Street or Barry McGuigan, but don't like any of them, to be fair.
Right, well, we're really struggling for the internet connection. So thank you all for joining us as always, and we will see you all very soon for another one.